discussed last time, we tried to talk about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, and we had a brief the last time, and something came to my mind. The government, actually trying to create more states for the federation. So, it calls my attention to paragraph 8 of, Constitution, section, paragraph 8, subsection, section 1, and it reads, it says, an act of the National Assembly for the purpose of creating a new state shall only be passed if a request supported by at least 2/3 majority of members representing the area demanding the creation of a new state in each of the following, namely, the Senate and House of Representatives, the House of Assembly in respect of the area, and the local government councils in respect of the area is received by the National Assembly. That is to say, to create a state, a new state, there is a procedure, that must be followed. But the Senate will, approve of it, the House of Representatives will approve of it, and majority, 2/3 of majority, even the council members from the locality, that is agitating for a new state. Okay? So that is subsection A of paragraph 1, section 1. Subsection B says, a proposal for the creation of the state is thereafter approved in a referendum by at least 2/3 majority of the people of the area where the demand for creation of the state originated. This is actually wonderful. All the while we'll be saying, oh, the Senate, the government want to create a new state. It's actually a beginning, like, after all the process, a referendum has to be conducted in those areas, where, the government proposed to create those states. That is the position of the Constitution. Okay? So, and subsection C says, the result of the referendum is then approved by a simple majority of all the federation, supported by simple majority of members of each house of the National Assembly. And D, the proposal is approved by a resolution passed by 2/3 majority of members of each house of the National Assembly. It's actually an elaborate, exercise. So first, there will be a proposal coming from a particular section who we want a state, okay, of our own. Secondly, for them to pursue it, the majority of the Senate and the House of Representatives would have to approve it, and it's going to both the Senate, the House of Reps, when the council area of the localities must get 2/3 approval votes for them to proceed. Then thereafter, the state too, then a referendum must be conducted in that area. The Constitution makes it clear. It's not that you're just going to wake up and create states. The Constitution says, oh, we're going to have a referendum from those areas who want to create the state. The people there, do they want a new state or not? It's not actually the government or the federal government that wants the state. It's the people of a particular area that will agitate, oh, we want a state, or we are too big, we think we need a new state, before that will happen. So the Constitution is actually clear on how to go about it, and it's an interesting thing to note that there are details in the Constitution that some people don't even know they exist. So this paragraph 8 is actually an eye-opener to what have been going on around us as regards to creating of states. Now, the Constitution is supreme. Chapter 1 of the Constitution is clear on it. Paragraph 1 says, this Constitution is supreme, and its provisions shall have binding force on all authorities and persons throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay? So now the Constitution says for us to have more states in Nigeria, we need to have a referendum. Chapter 2, paragraph 6, subsection 1 of the Constitution says, the judicial powers of the Federation shall be vested in the courts of which this section relates, being courts established for the Federation. There's something that interests me on this part, and I'm sure it's going to interest you too. The courts of which this section relates, that is subsection 3 now. The courts to which this section relates, established by this Constitution for the Federation and for the state, specified in subsection 5, subsection A to I of this section, shall be the only superior courts of record in Nigeria, and save as otherwise prescribed by the National Assembly or by the House of Assembly of a state. Each court shall have the powers of a superior court of record. Now, my interest is this. It tells us that in subsection 5 that we have the list of all the courts that that can be set up by the judiciary in Nigeria. But something is of interest to me. Something happened in the past, and we had this issue of why we are establishing a state actually wanted to establish Sharia law, and people were kicking against it, and it was a news. But little did so many people know that, or some people know that, even the Constitution, establishment of Sharia court is written clearly in the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the subsection F of that subsection 5 says one of the courts that should be set up by the judiciary in Nigeria is the Sharia Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital. Is specified. Sharia Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital, specific. Then subsection G says a Sharia Court of Appeal of state. And however the state wants it, that is how it's going to, any state that wants Sharia court established actually has the root from the Constitution, Okay, so now that was from paragraph 6 of chapter 2. Okay, so now let us also look at some other things, things that we expect from the government, or the things that the government should do. Paragraph 19 says that the foreign policy objective shall be A, promote and protection of the national interest. Very important. Then the Section B says promotion of African integration and support for African unity. Well, I think I'm interested in this part. Promotion of African integration and support of African unity. Okay? Let us not say anything on that first. Let us look at paragraph 21. It says, the state shall protect, preserve, and promote the Nigerian cultures, which enhance human dignity and are consistent with the fundamental objectives as in this chapter. So, if we look at the two, how do the government actually help to promote and preserve our cultural heritage in Nigeria? That is actually something maybe we'll discuss at the comment section, because it is clear in the Constitution that our cultural heritage must be protected and promoted. I don't know whether I see that happening. Anyway, so let us not dwell much on that. Then paragraph 22 of that same chapter 2 says, this is very important to me and you. It says, the press, radio, television, and other agencies of the mass media shall at all times be free to uphold the fundamental human objectives contained in this chapter and uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people. This is simple. A lot of times we've had this issue of misalignment in the communication world, but the Constitution is clear. I have been opportune to call into a few radio programs, and when you are speaking, the moderator will tell you, oh, don't speak, don't go that way. Okay? And there is no much press, freedom. As much as we said, you don't incite, people, against each other, against the government. But the point is that the Constitution is clear on the freedom of the press. And the press is actually mandated to help, the citizens to hold the government responsible, in their actions. Because it is the press that has the mandate to tell us what the government is doing and, take a feedback from us and probably tell the government you are not doing well, in one area or the other. Paragraph 23 says, the national ethics shall be discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism. Okay. If we take it one after the other, talks about national ethics, discipline, okay, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice. My interest is on, integrity. Do we still have integrity in our society? The public office holders, do we still have integrity in our society? You see, I don't think integrity means somebody will be walking, holy, holy, holy. Do we still have integrity, in the nation? Do we still remember integrity? That is the question that I'm asking all of us. So we'll continue the discussion after now. I'll come back to you. Thank you.